What's going on, everybody? Welcome to a brand new edition of Holding Court here on the First State Hoops Report YouTube channel. I am First State Hoops Report founding editor and Holding Court host Chris Stevens. Hopefully, you all are doing well. Well, we're all snowed in. That's pretty much where we are at this point. I decided to wait until Sunday morning to actually record this because I had a lot of errands to run. I had a busy Saturday actually, and we'll talk more about that in a minute. But hopefully everyone is out there doing well. Kids, you're safe. Parents, you keep your kids indoors. Everybody has food. Everybody has shelter. Everybody has some semblance of heat. Um, yeah. So this snowstorm, we don't know if it's going to affect the coming week's schedule. It probably will, but once we have more information, we'll probably figure out which games. I mean, obviously, hopefully, we hope it doesn't affect SL24, which is this coming Saturday, and we always love going to that event for the hoops, for the mental health discussion, with Mr. Chris Locke and what his family does for, kids with mental health in honor of his son Sean is absolutely wonderful. So hopefully SL24 is not affected by this storm because we'll definitely be in the building. We'll definitely be at Chase Field House on Saturday. But let's talk about the games I did go to this week. I did go to. I want to lead with the big dog, and Friday was absolutely the big dog. I want to thank once again Sean Green from WDEL for allowing me to join him on commentary for the Salesianum Howard basketball game on Friday night down at Father Burke and Hoyer Gymnasium. And that game had a little bit of everything. When you think about Sal's jumping out to that double-digit lead late in the second quarter, early in the third quarter, and Nick Besa had 4 fouls. I don't know where the third foul came from, but he played the entire second half mostly, and overtime with 4 fouls. But that Howard team just never quit, and that comes from Coach Matthews, who of course played alongside Gary Lumpkin, Tail Davidson, Lenny Brown, and William Penn. So he knows his way around big game environments. He never let those guys get their heads down. He had a game plan ready, and that game plan was a press that I was surprised that Salesianum could not break. For some strange reason, they kept passing the ball to the corner, and Howard would quickly send 2 and 3 guys over there. It would usually be Ghazi Abdurrahfi, Bryson Lane, and since Nick had 4 fouls, Ronald Handy Mink, he had the other assignment by default. And it didn't hurt. It didn't help Sal's that Trell Wright hurt himself. I don't know if it's an ankle or a knee problem. I hope he's okay. He's 5 points away from 1,000 because Sean Green. I told Sean Green on the broadcast he's 30 away from 1,000, and we did the Middletown game last year. He had 16 in the fourth quarter, so it was within his reach. So he got to 25. So hopefully, and the good news is for Sal's is they don't play a game until SL24 next Saturday against Sanford in the showcase game. So hopefully Trell can take this whole week to ice himself up, do what he needs to do to get healthy, and get that one band. And we'll talk more about 1,000-point scorers in a minute. But this told me that Howard is still very much a player in the state championship race. Yes, they blew a double-digit lead to Dover. Yes, they lost to no, they didn't lose. They barely beat a very young and talented. But let's be fair. That William Penn team is very talented. Being taken to overtime by that Penn team, there's nothing to be ashamed of. But Howard, their only 2 in-state losses this year are to Dover and Cape, and those are the only 2 teams ahead of them in the First State Hoops Report top 10. So that Howard team really looks like they can be a contender as well. I still think Sal's is going to be heard from. They're just way too deep. They had an off shooting night and after the middle of the third quarter, shots that fell for them in the first half just did not fall in the second half and in overtime, and then they were forced to foul. I thought it was interesting that Howard shot 43 free throws on Friday night, and I think Sal's had like 10 or 12, and Sal's was the home team. You usually have that disparity when it's the home team shooting more free throws than the visiting squad. But Howard went to the free throw line 43 times and made 31 of them. So that's about a 72, 73% clip. So not terrible, but decent. You make 70-something% of your free throws, chances are you're going to win most ball games. And that's a credit to, once again, Coach Matthews and his staff having his guys prepared for any situation. And when we talked to Nick Besa on the radio because I had to go flag him down for Sean, and this dude in uniform was like, no, 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 and I'm like, dog, I'm media, please, I'm doing my job. And so I had to go. I go and get Nick. And he's like, we blew big leads. This is we knew we could come back from one. So these kids understand, like, this Howard team, this is their last run. When you think about that senior core of, so the Howard kids understand what's at stake here. This is their last run. That senior core of Besa, Bryson Lane, Dom Awamakala, Mink. This is it. This is the final countdown, literally, for this squad. This is their last chance to win a state championship, and they feel like this is their best chance, and I think so too. I still think Dover is the favorite. I think Dover is just going to have an incredibly bad game for somebody to beat them. But even when they have their incredibly bad games, like when they fall behind double digits to both Howard and Smyrna 2 days apart and still get a win in both instances, it's just hard to beat a team like that. It is absolutely hard to beat a team like that. But I still think Howard has a shot. I think Cape can give Dover fits, Sal's as well. Tatnall, of course, has Mason Collins, who's probably going to win our Player of the Year award. And the kids around him are getting better, which is what you expect of a player of his magnitude. He's supposed to make his teammates around him better. So this boys tournament, man, it's gonna be a fun one. It's absolutely gonna be a fun one. I did go also earlier in the week. I went to go see St. E's boys play Archmere when Archmere was undefeated, and St. Elizabeth does not have the same star power that they had last year, but they play incredibly hard. They're smart, and the shots that, again, basketball is a streaky game. St. E had some shots that didn't fall in the first half. They just started dropping in the second half, and that's how they were able to get past Archmere. The only thing that worries me about St. E is they have literally no size. I don't think there's anybody on that team bigger than 6'2". But they all play hard. Again, they play together. They play smart. And right now, they are tied with, I think it's MOT Charter for first place in the Diamond State. So you got to give that new staff with Coach John O'Connor and Doug Nicholas a lot of credit. They are playing some really good. St. E's is playing some really good basketball right now, and hey, this could be a situation where they surprise some teams in the tournament. You never know. You never know. As far as Archmere goes, I think what hurt Archmere was, again, what hurt Sal's on Friday. The shots that went in the second half just didn't go in the second half. Oh yeah, and St. E killed them on the boards. Archmere had to do a better job of crashing glass, and they didn't, and that's what hurt. That's what ended up losing the game for them, to be quite honest with you. I think they got out rebounded by double digits in the second half pretty easily. So, rebounding is the name of the game. It's like they said back in the day, you can't run if you don't have the ball. So when you can't, secure those offensive rebounds for second chance opportunities, when you can't secure defensive rebounds to get your team offense up and running, you're not gonna win many ball games. You're not gonna win many ball games. And hopefully, and this Archmere team has lost 3 in a row now. So hopefully this isn't a repeat of 2025 last year when they started, I think, same thing, 8-0, and then they ended up finishing 13-7 and missing the tournament by like a couple of points or something. So hopefully this Archmere team gets it together so they can get in this tournament and make some noise. Another game I attended this week was Archmere Concord girls, and I had to see that, just for all state votes, because hadn't had a chance to see Bridget Malloy this year, and she performed up to expectations. Of course, she was their leading scorer. Nobody really scored that much in that game on Thursday. I will say that as annoyed as I was with Brandywine School District going to 3:30 starts, it did help. Shouts out to Mike Lang of 302 Sports. We both were over there on Thursday. They're like, hey, we can go eat dinner and then, write our stories up. So it was like perfect. So, but yeah, I think that Concord team still has, good players. I mean, Amira Green is, very tough in the post. Lena Gabrish, her brother, of course, is Phillies farmhand Luke Gabrish. And she played a pretty solid fourth quarter after, she couldn't buy a basket in the first 2 or 3 quarters. So that Concord team is still something that Howard has to contend with. In fact, I think they play each other next to last day of the regular season. So that's going to decide the Flight B championship. Even though I think Howard right now is still the better team, Concord could absolutely give them a fight. So very much looking forward to seeing that game when it happens. And Saturday, let me tell y'all how sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. So Um, I went because I did all my storm prep ahead of time, and I went to the gym on Saturday. The only thing I had to do after the gym was my laundry, and I said, let me go see friends in St. Mark's girls, just for state tournament purposes and scouting purposes because I live right around the corner from friends. I was like, all right, let me just go around the corner, check this game out, get some clips, see what happens, and go from there. So I walk into friend's gym, and I notice there's a lot of like little flyers on the seats, and it says Gianna 1,000, and apparently Gianna Cottone was 6 points away from 1,000. I did not know this. I picked this game on a random. And shout out to Henry Wynn and Connor Brenneman of the Friends of Boys team who came and chatted it up with me for a little bit. They were asking me about the Howard game, and they told me that Gianna was 6 points away from a ban. I was like, okay, so I got lucky today. And sure enough, she scored those 6 points in the first quarter, and that place went nuts. Friends has a very interesting gym setup anyway, because if you've never been to Friends, they have an East gym and a West gym. And the West gym is where they play their basketball games. I think the East gym is like where the wrestling team, has their stuff going on or whatever. There was some sort of a practice going on over there Saturday. I don't know if it was like, karate or flag. I don't know what it was, but I know I just walked past the East gym into the West gym, and you know watch that game. And Friends won that game. Friends is not gonna wow you on the girls' side. They're not gonna have a lot of razzle dazzle, but they're gonna play hard. They're gonna play tough. They pass the ball. They share the ball very well. They do backdoor cuts better than almost any girls team I've seen in the state this year. So I think 8-2 for them is a good start, but there's still 10 games left. They still got to play Sanford one more time. that's that's not ideal. That's not ideal, Bob. I know they got Archmere on the schedule too. I think they play Ursuline at Unlock the Light next week. So they have a really tough second half of their schedule, but if they can somehow get to 13, 14 wins, they might actually, get a bye. Even though they don't have a problem going on the road. They went on the road and beat Early College in Dover last year in the first round of the state tournament. So that Friends team, on the girls' side, I'm not saying they're Final Four material, but if you underestimate them, you could be going home. So that was fun. Just randomly picking that game, just like, all right, it's right around the corner. Starts at 12 o'clock. I'll be back home by like 1:30. Let's go. And I ended up catching. This is the first person I've seen that score 1,000 points all season long in person. And I do find it interesting that the first five players that have scored a band this year have all been girls. Marsha Brown of Early College, Amalia Fruckman of Cape. Who else was it? Amaya Ellerby of Smyrna. No, Zamalazita Owens from St. E, and now Gianna Cottone of Friends. So I don't know if that just means that there are too many, I don't know if I don't think that says anything about the boys. I think it says anything about the way the boys game is played, that it doesn't lend too many opportunities for players to go, solo as it were. And I'm not saying that girls basketball is not team basketball. I think girls basketball is and women's basketball is the essence of team basketball. But you still need somebody that's going to go get you a basket. And the girls that have reached 1,000 points this year have all been able to go get baskets. Like Amaya Ellerby came off the bench against Sanford last Saturday and dropped a cool 24. Like they didn't know what to do with her until she just ran out of gas midway through the fourth quarter. But for those first 3.5 quarters, boy, Sanford had no answers for Amaya Ellerby. So, you got to have players that can get you a bucket when you need one. That's just something to take a note of. Like I just found it very interesting because I was putting together the little flyer that I do for social media about the 1,000 Point Club, and the first five this year have all been girls. I mean, Trell is going to get there, so he'll probably be the first boy. I don't know if there are any other boys close to a band, but hopefully we find out soon. And we have another great list of kids that have reached 1,000 points because, as Sean Green and I talked about on the radio Friday night, you have to average 12 points a game for 4 years if you're playing as a freshman. And if you're not playing as a freshman, that means you got to average about 16, 17 points a game over the next 3 years. That's not easy. That is not easy. And the sooner people understand that these kids and their milestones should be celebrated instead of looked at as, oh, wow, they transferred or wow, they played as an eighth grader. Who cares? They accomplished something that is not easy. It is something special. It is something sacred. We even talked, me and Sean talked about it on the air. We even talked about the rarefied air of the 2000 point club because Sean and I were both high school seniors when Kristen Mills, now Coach Caldwell at the Caravel baseball team, she was the first person, boy or girl, in the state of Delaware to score 2,000 points. We all remember that because Vi Sikahema. This is dating. You kids may not know who Vi Sikahema is, but the OGs know. Vi Sikahema used to be a kick returner for the Eagles, and he retired and became NBC 10's sports director. So they had Vi Sikahema out at Caravel's gym when Coach Caldwell was closing in on 2,000 points. So that was a big deal, and I think the there might be three people. There's Coach Caldwell, there's Lena Deladon, and I think Jawan Carter of Tatnall reached 2,000. He's the only boy. And when you think about the greats in Delaware that have played in the state and have gone on to play professionally, like Bones, Dante DiVincenzo, Terrence Stansberry, AJ English, Dexter Boney, Benaj Delaney Hamilton. 2,000 points is rarefied air, but they've all scored 1,000 now. They've all scored 1,000. And 1,000 is a milestone that these kids should celebrate, and we should celebrate it for them and with them. And congratulations once again to Gianna Cottone and everybody else that scored 1,000 this year. Like I said, I just picked that game on a random. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I knew it all along. No, that was a random pick. Sometimes it's just better to be lucky than good when you're your own assignment editor, as it were. And yes, we are going to close this out with the big news of the week. The big news of the week. It's very fitting that on the day that we celebrate the man who had a dream, the dream that I had actually came true. We are going to have a shot clock in 2027-28. People are like, oh man, that's a whole year plus away. It has to be. Because I give DIAA credit for this. You're giving everybody at least 20 months to purchase shot clocks, find out who's going to run them, and have test runs. So this is actually smart by DIAA, thrusting this, not just thrusting this into effect, giving everybody a grace period, to get themselves ready for the shot clock in 2027, 2028. That is huge. And again, who has been talking about the shot clock nonstop since he started this whole First State Hoops Report thing? Me. And I feel vindicated right now. I ain't gonna lie to you. I feel very vindicated. So, the game in order for Delaware kids to be exposed to better competition and become better basketball players and get those college looks that they desire. Oh my God, I need to talk about that as well. Maybe I'll do a separate episode about that. They need to see what college basketball is going to be like. And college basketball has a shot clock. Professional basketball has a shot clock. 32 states prior to Delaware had a shot clock. So you need a shot clock to give these kids the best opportunity to prepare themselves to play at the next level if that's what they want to do. And even still, you still learn time management with a shot clock. Like you got to look up and say, okay, we got to get into our offense. We got 15 seconds. We got 25 seconds. We got to do this. I don't know why our shot clock is going to be 35 seconds. I think 30 is good enough because in a 32-minute ball game, 35-second shot clock still not going to beef up the possession total any. I think 30 would have been better. But if 35 is what it is, then doggone it, 35 is what it is. And so now it's so funny because there were certain coaches who quoted who reshared my post on Instagram saying, now you got to coach. And I'm like, ooh, messy. But hey, it's fair now because the stall game is not a pleasant one to watch. I'll be honest with you. It's not a pleasant game to watch. So you got to start, working on your offensive sets now because you got one more year without a shot clock. After that, you holding that ball for 35, 40 seconds just ain't going to cut it no more. That dog will not hunt. And I'm excited for it. So hopefully we are all still in our good health and strength, and we're still, and all those of us in journalism are still in journalism because, well, journalism is kind of like a passe thing at the moment, in that we can make it to 2027, 2028 for this shot clock. But yes, very excited for it. Very happy that the DIAA passed it. And again, everybody's got at least a year plus to prepare. Every school buying a shot clock or finding somebody to sponsor your shot clock, finding somebody to run it, and then doing test runs. You got a whole year plus. Because let's see, if this is January 2026, then you take 12 months out of that. Well, now it's closer to February, so you might as well say 11. And then December comes around. That's 20 months. So you got literally 20 months. Actually, more than that, 21. No. Yeah, about 21, 22 months. You got plenty of time to go get yourself a shot clock, get it set up, find somebody to run it, do these test runs with it, and let's have a great time with it. I'm looking forward to it. I'm not looking forward to the whole split thing that Sean reminded me of. I was like, oh God, I hate that. I've talked about that enough. But ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for this edition of Holden Court. Really appreciate y'all for tuning in as always. Contact information will be in the description below. I'm still trying to wake up because this snow had me knocked out, bro. But yeah, if you guys want to donate, I'll put my Cash App and my PayPal in the description below, because of course it does cost money to run this organization, like buying camera stools. Shouts out to my guy Strictly GP for the reference. You know, gas for my car, batteries for my camera. It all costs money. So if you guys want to help me keep this operation going, I will put my Cash App and my PayPal in the description below, and you guys can donate if you feel so moved. So thank you guys for watching. Be safe out here in the snow until we see each other in gyms again, hopefully some point this week. Y'all take care of yourselves and each other.